Okay, Israel, I got another precept for you. And this is with regards to the subject of the book of the law versus the book of the covenant. We're going to show you in this little precept, very briefly, that the book of the law and the book of the covenant is one and the same. And the Most High calls the covenant, he calls the law of the covenant at first, and he goes in detail and explains to them what this covenant consists of. So in Exodus chapter 19 is where we get the first, where the Most High says, in the third month, this is Exodus 19:1, in the third month, when the children of Israel were going forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. And Moshe went up unto Yah, and Yah called him unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thou shalt say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant. See that? Covenant. Keep my covenant. So everything from this point forward is the covenant. Keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all the people. For all the earth is mine. Verse 6, and you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. And these are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. So the Most High told Israel, if you keep my covenant. Now, everything he says after that is the covenant. This is way before Israel had made a golden calf and had worshipped an idol. This was right after Israel came right straight out of Egypt into the wilderness, right? The Most High was not angry with Israel at this point, so he was giving them the covenant, right? Now, if we continue on to chapter 20, chapter 20 is where we get what we call the Decalogue, where the Most High says, and Elohim spake these words, saying, I am Yah, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other deities before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above. ... You can continue to read that. I'm not going to read it for the sake of this time. So we're talking about what we call the Decalogue or the Ten Commandments, which is also called the covenant, right? Now, if we go to the next segment I want to bring out is immediately after he closes out with those commandments. Verse 18 says, all the people saw the thunders and the lightnings and the noise and the trumpets and the mountains and smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood far off. And they said to Moshe, speak thou with us, and we will hear thee. But let not Elohim speak with us, lest we die. Right? So Moshe said to the people, fear not, for Elohim is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that you sin not. So this covenant, it was an agreement that the Most High said, anything that you do that goes in variation to what I'm saying as a covenant is a sin. So this was what the Most High said. I did this to prove you that you sin not, right? Now, immediately after he said that, to show his love and compassion for Israel, he did what? And Yah said to Moshe, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, you have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. You shall not make you any deities of silver, neither shall you make any deities of gold, right? An altar of earth thou shalt make unto me, and shall sacrifice thereupon thy burnt offerings, thy peace offerings, thy sheep, thy oxen, in all places where I record my name. I will come unto thee, and I will bless thee. And if thou wilt make me an altar of stone, thou shalt not build it of hewn stone. For if thou lift up thy tool upon it, thou hast polluted it. Okay. Now, so the Most High goes and offers the sacrifice, as which is part of the covenant. The next part I want to point out is chapter 21. Now he goes off into telling them protocols about purchasing slaves. I'm not going to read it, but just the first verse says, now These are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. So now the Most High goes and gives Israel what is called judgments, that is also a part of the covenant that was eventually put in the book of the covenant, which is the same thing called the book of the law. We're going to see that in a minute. All right. So now I'm not going to read chapter 21. You can read that in your own time. Chapter, I pieced this part here. Okay. It says, this is a man. Let's see this. Let's read this verse here. This is verse 16. Okay. Verse 16 says, but if a man will presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from mine altar, that he may die. So that's a judgment, right? And he that smiteth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. And he that stealeth, right, a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. So now we're talking about judgments, right? And he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death, right? If a man strive together and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keepeth his bed, if he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff, then shall he that smote him be quit. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed, right? Now, verse 24 says, and if 23 says, this is Exodus 21:23 says, and if any mischief follows, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. And if any man smite the eye of his servant or the eye of his maid, that it perish, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. Okay. All right. Now, so these are talking about judgment. Now, chapter 22 talks about stealing, because we got in the Decalogue another. He says, "Thou shalt not steal." If a thief be found breaking up and smitten that he died, there shall no blood be shed for him. If a man steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. Okay, so these are all judgments dealing with the things that the Most High spoke out of the Decalogue. Right now, 22. I'm gonna read this part here. It says, then shall, if a man deliver unto his neighbor an ass or an ox or sheep or beast to keep, and it die or be hurt or driven away, no man seeth it, right? Then shall an oath for Yah be between them both, okay? And if it be stolen from him, he shall make restitution unto the owner thereof. So these are all laws, these are all judgments that was part of what we call the covenant, right? Then we go to chapter 23, talks about bearing false witness. Verse 23, chapter 23, verse 1 says, thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness, right? Okay. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. Neither shalt thou countenance a poor man in his cause. Okay. If thou meet thy enemy's ox or ass going astray, thou shalt surely bring it back to him again, right? 7 says, keep thee far from the false matter, and the innocent and righteous slay not, for I will not justify the wicked, right? Now, we go down here. Here's where the Most High gives the protocol. This is part of the covenant, which is the book of the covenant or the book of the law, whichever you choose. It's the same thing. Most High says, this is verse 11. This is 23 and 11. He says, and 6 years thou shalt sow thy land, and thou shalt gather in thy fruits thereof. But the 7th year thou shalt let it rest and lie still. And the poor of thy people may eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field shall eat. In like manner thou shalt deal with the vineyard, with thy olive yard. Okay. Then he says, 6 days shalt thou do thy work, and on the 7th day, right, thou may be refreshed. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other deities, right? Neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. Okay. This is still part of that covenant, right? So you call on the Lord God, Jesus, and all of that, right? You violation. Then he says, thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread, uh, and thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the appointed time of the month of Abib. For it is when thou came forth out of Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of, on to verse 17. First fruits of thy labors which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field. He says 3 times in a year, all thy males shall appear before Yah, and thou shalt not offer the blood of a sacrifice with leavened bread, neither shalt the fat of my sacrifice remain until the morning. The first of thy first fruits. So you can go on. This continues on. I'm not going to read it because I'm running out of time. Okay. Then hook, line, and sinker. This is the kicker right here. Right now, in verse 24, chapter 24, the Most High said, and Moshe came, this is 24:3, came and told the people all the words of Yah and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yah has said, we will do. So this is what? This is the covenant. Okay? This is the covenant. Now, I said this is the kicker. Okay? We're going to give it to you, and I'm going to close it out. Now, if we go over to 25, this is chapter 25. The Most High told him all of the stuff that the Most High gave Moshe. This is what he told him at the end. He says, I'm going to read verse 16. It says, and thou shalt put into the ark of the testimony, which I shall give thee. So now he calls it the ark of the testimony, which I shall give thee. And thou shalt make a mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half, and shall be the length thereof, and the cubit thereof, and the breadth thereof. Right? The 16th verse once again says, thou shalt put into the ark the testimony which I shall give thee. See that? So now, the Most High told Moshe to put the testimony in the ark. What is that testimony? What the Most High said that he was going to give him, which what is this covenant, right? And we're going to show you in another video in Deuteronomy that the Most High told him to take those things that I gave you and write it in a book and put it inside the Ark of the Covenant. And that's what that is. That book of the covenant is the same as the book of the law. Shalom.